Good evening, all. It is January 13th, 2025. I'm going to do a quick market update, and it's not going to be as polished as my videos normally are, but we have had a pretty big pullback in the market here, and I'm going to give you what my personal thoughts are on that. I'm going to run through all the DePIN projects that I'm most invested in, quick update on those projects, as well as a couple that I'm going to be covering in upcoming videos. So I'm going to highlight a couple of those projects, and then I'm going to talk about the AI agency, because I think that there is some huge opportunities in that space right now. But first and foremost, I do want to say, and I talked about this on my live stream with Chris Bagnell on Friday, 90 to 95% of my crypto portfolio is in Bitcoin and DePIN projects, especially the ones that I have covered in my videos that I've done an immense amount of research on. I do have a Moon wallet, though, that I use to go after, where the market trends are. Last year we saw a lot in the meme coin space, and I believe we're going to see a big rotation into AI agents. We saw a little bit of that already. We just had a massive pullback, but I'm going to give you my thoughts on those towards the end of the video as well. But starting off with the overall market sentiment. Now, obviously, nothing I'm covering here is financial advice. And, I can just look at historical trends in what I am planning to do. Nobody knows what's going to happen here. That said, the pullback we've seen is pretty normal, especially for, the January following a halving year. We normally see a correction like this. So this is not abnormal by any means. I'll also say we have, for the first time ever in a week, a president being inaugurated where we're expected to have very pro-crypto regulation. So I think that's very bullish. We've seen a lot of buying with the ETFs. We're seeing institutional adoption. We're seeing a lot of things. Like 14 states are expected to introduce legislation for Bitcoin reserves. And it came out today that Trump is expected to sign some executive orders immediately when it comes to crypto. We don't know exactly what those are yet, but to me, that's all very bullish. There are some macro trends going on in the overall economy, in traditional stock market, in some things that are concerning for sure. But I do personally, the way I'm playing this is I think we're going to have this pullback. I do believe that we could see a further pullback. Bitcoin did break below $92,000, which was a strong support level. There's a lot of people saying and calling for it to get into the high 80s. Some are saying that it could get down into the 70s. I personally don't see it getting into the 70s, but I don't have a crystal ball. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we do touch down into the upper 80s. And if that does happen, you better believe that a lot of these altcoin projects are going to bleed further. Generally what we see is if there's a 15, 20% correction in Bitcoin, altcoins in a lot of cases can go down as much as 50% or more. So I feel very bullish though right now. And I'm going to, when I cover these projects, we're going to look at the price. I'm not going to do any projections in this video, but I do plan on coming back in a few months to revisit and kind of compare where the prices of these projects are. I think partly why I feel pretty relaxed in this situation right now is, well, for one, I've been through many of these corrections over the last 5 years since I've been in crypto, but also the DePIN sector has held up pretty well. I mean, we've seen a lot of resilience. There's certainly been a pullback, but compared to some of the more speculative plays, it's held up pretty well. And also, I'm invested in projects that I know have true utility, that are building. We're going to talk about that in this video, that have teams that are very dedicated. So, the short-term price action doesn't scare me. And I still remain very bullish on where things are going. And I do believe that in a few months, we might be looking back at this time period and think that there were some really attractive entry points. Now, while I do have some money sidelined, I have been dollar cost averaging and building to my positions even more. But I'm not, 100% in right now, because I still think we could have a further pullback leading up to the inauguration. We're going to have to see what happens. But I think February could be a really nice month. Okay, I'll put it that way. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. So with that said, let's dig in to the projects, starting with Hive Mapper. So obviously we've had a pullback. We did see, over the last month or so, it has jumped up over, up to 11 cents a few times, but it's, stayed in this channel, if you will. And I do believe that honey is, has a lot of potential, especially if we do have this alt season, because it's something that can resonate with people. I think that we're going to see a rotation into DePIN, where utility really starts to take over. We're seeing then in some of these congressional hearings that DePIN is being talked about. I believe that GeoNet was there. One of the other things I'll say is that the crypto czar that Trump is appointing is an early investor in Hive Mapper. So that is certainly bullish. Let's talk about the shipments, because this is something that has really soured a lot of people on this project. A lot of people put in the order for the BLTEs. Some people have been waiting a year, myself included. But it looks like they are going to ship approximately 500 total bees by the end of January. They're doing some additional testing. Obviously, they need to make sure that they get this right, because in my opinion, the project really hinges on the success of this new product. So it looks like they're going to scale up in February. So that's a good sign. Obviously, things have been very much delayed past Q3, which is the original projected delivery dates. But I think if they nail this thing, we could see, some definite positive price action. I think we could see some promising things for Hive Mapper moving forward. I'm starting to see more and more people mention it on Twitter as well, which is a good thing. And then if you look, they have hit some pretty cool. I think we're at like 30% of the world's roads. Yeah, so global coverage 30%. I mean, that's pretty freaking remarkable, really. Now it's about monetizing it, right? And it's about getting the bee out there and really pushing it to the next level. So obviously, honey is one of my biggest holdings. I have a massive fleet. Oh, and by the way, so my game plan is to, as I get the bee, replace some of my HDCs for my top performing drivers to start with, and over time replace my fleet with those cameras. And then as far as expanding, I want to wrap my head around what are the rewards going to look like versus the cost of the LTE plan. But this new model is going to open up the door to make it easier to build out fleets. You can build fleets with businesses very easily if you just put this thing in the windshield and the driver doesn't have to deal with downloading, uploading imagery every day and all that. So I think if you're looking to build a fleet, that removes a lot of friction, and I think it's going to make it a lot easier than it has been in the past. So I'm excited to see where that goes. Next is GeoNet. Look, this project stayed super resilient. It's been really frustrating, and talking to some of the people that are also invested in this. It's been like kind of the sideways chop action. But, when the market's down, I don't mind it because it's held up really well. They added support on Solana now, which is really great. And they've reached, I think it's like over 12,000 base stations deployed at this point. And something like half of their stations, 12,700. Yeah. So they're growing. They obviously have a new model coming out with Wingbits now, which is you'll be able to mine both tokens. And yeah, as I was saying, I think like half of their base stations are getting daily usage. They've now also burned over, was it 10 million Geo tokens? So like 1% of the supply is now burnt forever out of the supply due to revenue. One other thing that's really interesting I saw today, and I don't know what this is. This was called out in one of the Discords I'm in. He has Decrypto Way. He normally is one that calls these things out. But there's a huge transfer that took place earlier today. Over $10 million. So I don't know if they're just putting this in another holding wallet, or if they have a huge investor, or Maybe they're getting a big exchange list. That'd be a pretty big exchange listing, but it seems that there's some tokens on the move. We'll have to wait and see what that's for. And I have to think that they have some exchange listings coming. That's the only thing that, in my opinion, has been holding this thing back. I've been building my position in this project for some time now. I was adding a lot back in this range here in the 13 to 14 cents. So super excited about GeoNet. I think very promising future ahead. What's the next one here? Helium. So Helium, obviously in the last market cycle, if we look, this thing got up freaking way up there. It's like $4.6 billion market cap, I want to say. We've kind of been hovering. We went up and down. I believe that Helium could have a major comeback in this market cycle. For one, the 5G network. Well, I had that pulled up. 5G network is getting massive usage. And the daily subscribers for their mobile plan is on the rise. The other thing that happened recently with Helium is that they went back to the H&T token. And I think that's going to make it a lot easier for investors. They had broken it out into both mobile and IoT. I was against it when it happened. I'm glad they're going back to just being H&T. The other thing that was announced is that it is under consideration right now. Arwee's on there too. Interesting. Under consideration for Grayscale. I believe it actually was a few years ago as well, but it's newly added again, I believe. So that would be pretty cool to see. I think Helium also has the chance to get institutional interest. So I do believe, what we're looking at, $4.80. Yeah, I'm curious to see where this is in a few months from now. And going back just to mark these here. So we're at 7.2 cents on Hive Mapper, just under 27 cents for GeoNet, performed quite well. And Helium at 480. The next one, Nosana. Okay, so this is one I covered back in November of 2023. Definitely one of my better investments because I think I originally covered it. It was like 2 cents. So it's done very well. And that, by the way, is a great example of the opportunities that come up in bear markets. Okay. And I'm already thinking about this, and everyone really should be thinking about this, making sure that you have cash that you can deploy in a bear market when things completely fall out, when things get really boring, when people are not paying attention or people are afraid of the market. Those are generally the best times to invest. In 2 cents, the thing's done 140x since then. They're having their mainnet launch tomorrow. Actually, I think that Nosana has plenty of room to run. And yeah, there it is, their mainnet launch. And let's see here. And they just completed, they have over 1 million compute jobs completed. So pretty remarkable stuff. And that's through their test nets again. I mean, they haven't had their mainnet launch. So very bullish on Nosana and where that can go. It's at $2.80. Earlier this year, we got up to, almost $7.36. Man, so I do think there's plenty of room to run at $134 million market cap. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But again, mainnet launch tomorrow. That's pretty exciting stuff. And a GPU network that's getting real usage. Demo, man, the price action has been ugly on this one. But I think, I don't know. I think that there's this misconception about what they're doing. I interviewed their co-founder a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was like a few weeks ago at this point. Look, they did get up into the 58 cents earlier, like last spring. It sucks that the price actions has been pretty dismal, but again, this is a project that I just don't understand why people are sleeping on this thing. They have they're up to 147,000 vehicles connected. They're shipping their new R1 device. Okay. By the way, I will put my discount code in for all these projects in the description. If you want to get hardware, feel free to use that. But they came out with this new flagship device, lower price point. Teslas can connect for free. The main thing, though, I'm really looking at, aside from the amount of the vehicle growth on the network, is the developers. Okay, so this is I feel like people are sleeping on this project. I just don't get it. So August, we were at 18th developer licenses for developers to be building applications in this ecosystem. Look at this. Look at this. I mean, 100. We're up to 142. Like the massive, massive growth just over the last month. There are so many people building right now on Demo, and they moved to base. I think it was a really good move. We're seeing so much liquidity move over to base right now, and and talking to Rob Solomon, they said that base is super easy. The developer tools, like the amount of building happening on base right now, it's going to open up so many doors for them, and especially when it comes to institutional interest and getting in with some of these larger vehicle manufacturers and things. I think this project has so much potential. The fact that we're sitting at 13 cents, $38 million market cap, I'm looking forward to coming back to this and seeing where we're at. But I think people are sleeping on this project, man. I just don't get it. Render. This is it's going to be one of the leading GPU projects for sure. The team is cracked. I've covered this several times. It's just it's at $7. We did dip down. I covered it back in August. I think we were down like the $5 range. Yeah, it did get down there. I think it's a very bright future for Render, frankly. A couple of things to call out too. I was actually at the Sphere in Vegas for New Year's. It was a badass show. I've never seen anything like it, but it was rendered on the Render network. I had no idea. I was there. I had no idea it was on Render. God, that was such a cool show. But very cool to see it getting real world uses. They also announced that they're working with Paramount. So I know they did some work in the past, but I believe they're doing like a full project with Paramount Pictures. So very cool things happening for Render right now. Let's see here. Dynex. Man, this has been another one where the price action's been pretty ugly, down to just over 18 cents right now. This project's doing things. I mean, they did get fudded a little bit recently. They responded to all of it. I'm actually going to be interviewing their team later this month. They've got some really cool stuff they're working on. And if you look, people are like super, I don't understand. It's very polarizing. Some people are very excited about this project and there's a lot of FUD. I don't think people quite understand what's happening with the project. I'm not sure, but you look at the completed jobs. Again, I'm always looking for usage of the network. I mean, it's great to, speculatively talk about what the project's going to do, but 70,000 jobs completed in November. I mean, and look at this trajectory, right? 84,000 compute jobs in December, and we're not even halfway through the month. We're almost at 55,000. So the network's getting massive usage, and again, they're working on some really cool stuff. And we timed the interview for the end of the month because I believe they have some big announcements coming that we want to talk about. So very excited about that. They're also developing their own chip. So they're hoping to have it fully developed by the end of this year. And that's going to work in conjunction with the GPUs on the network to kind of bring it to the next level. So very excited about where Dynex is going. And again, seeing it, 18 cents, $18 million market cap. Yeah. All right. We'll come back. We'll see what that looks like. Streamer. I did a video on this one. Streamer's been around a long time. It's critical to the DePIN infrastructure. Okay. So it allows for decentralized streaming of data. Demo's built on it. I do believe that this project is going to do well in the bull run. And as DePIN thrives, I believe that this is going to be critical to give these projects a way to be fully decentralized. So a lot of them are still using AWS. Big fan of Streamer. I think that it's a very promising project. Sitting at 4 cents. Let's look at what this thing's done. We haven't seen any crazy price action, but if we go back to the last bull run, it did get up there. So again, well, I'm so excited to come back in a few months and kind of look at these prices, because a lot of times I've been through this so many times now where we have these massive pullbacks, and it's like everyone's always like, "Oh, as soon as we have a pullback, I'm going to buy," and then there's a pullback, and everyone's freaking scared out of their minds to pull any capital, and then it bounces back up, and you look back and you're like, "Damn, I guess I should have bought." So we'll see if that ends up being the case. WeatherXM, I just put a video out about them last week. Trying to get their CEO on for an interview. He seems like a cool guy, very committed to the project, very passionate about the project. I think they have some potential here. Not a great chart, but they are targeting deployments in developing nations where there's not weather data today, and weather data is absolutely critical. With the emergence of AI, we're going to see the way that weather is used in our lives is going to change drastically. We're already seeing that AI forecasts are outperforming the best forecasts that we've had historically. And there's gonna be so many new use cases now with this data. And one of the other things too is, it's in the past, like really large data sets weren't always a great thing because you can get over inundated with data and can't make use of it. Also, getting rid of the bad data, the outlier data. AI is gonna be really helpful in making data valuable. That's why, if you've noticed, a lot of projects I'm in are around a data collection because AI is going to make data more and more valuable. You still have to collect the data. Okay, so that's kind of my thought process behind a lot of these is, okay, let's get the data. Obviously, some infrastructure plays too. But I think, I think data is the future in many ways. Arweave, I love this project, and I just can't believe it's at $15 right now. In the last market cycle, we got to $78. One of the things I really like is that it's pretty much fully diluted. They've hit some major milestones. They're like 1 billion transactions. Let's see, 1 billion transactions a month. The other thing is with AO. So AO is being launched, or it is launched, but it's basically giving people the ability to run smart contracts and develop projects on top of Arweave. So Arweave's already getting a ton of usage. But I think AO is going to take this ecosystem to a whole new level. I have a video on this as well that I recommend checking out. I don't know why people are sleeping on this project so much, but 1 billion market cap. When you compare this to other storage projects, like, are you kidding me? And it's permanent storage. They're doing something different. There's a lot of other blockchains storing their data on Arweave. I think it's like something like 85% of the NFT collections on Solana are stored on Arweave. And then when you look at AO and what they're doing, they've launched 40 projects in the last 100 days on AO. Y'all, oh man. So if you hold Arweave, highly recommend moving it into the AR Connect wallet because you'll start earning AO tokens just for holding Arweave in your own wallet. If you hold it on the exchange is getting those tokens. As of right now, it doesn't look like they're going to distribute those AO tokens to holders. So it's really up to the exchange. So I would recommend putting in your own wallet, but AO, people are sleeping on this project. God. So Arweave AO, one to keep your eyes on. I want to add more to especially these freaking prices. I want to add more to Arweave. My goodness. Yeah. Very bullish on this project, getting tremendous amount of usage, and this AO being built out is going to be massive. Wingbits, I covered it. They haven't had their token launch yet. I'm going to do a follow-up video. I interviewed their CEO. I was a little under the weather in that interview, but I'm going to do a follow-up interview with him. And they've got some exciting stuff they're working on. They're shipping that new GeoNet dual miner device, and their token launch is coming sometime in Q1. So certainly one I'm going to keep my eyes on. I think it's a very promising project. All right. So the two projects I'm going to cover next, one is Exhibits. They don't have like the marketing that a lot of these GPU aggregators have. I wouldn't have even known about them if I didn't go to Austin, Texas for Consensus. But this project is the real deal. They are, their team is incredible. They've had some Twitter Spaces recently where they've talked about their activity levels. They just sourced like a few thousand of the new high-end NVIDIA GPUs. They're going at the H200s. They're going after data centers. And they're also supplying the GPUs for a lot of the other big DePIN projects. Okay, so like if you go to like your IONets, or I believe they're working with Render too. I'm in the process of doing my research for this video, but a lot of the AI aggregators or GPU aggregators and DePIN, they're sourcing their higher end GPUs through exabytes. So, while they have the platform where they're connecting the GPUs to the consumer, on the back end, in many cases, it's exabytes. So that is why I'm very bullish on this project. And they just announced on their Twitter Spaces last week for the first time that they are launching their token. We don't have a date yet, but this is one that I am personally planning to make sure I have a good amount of stable coins set aside to take a sizable position. Very bullish on this project. I am going to do a video, so be on the lookout for that. Next one is DABA Network. So this is one that I've had some people call out to me over time. They're basically building out a Wi-Fi network in India. So in India, there is a massive need for Wi-Fi. Their internet connectivity apparently is very bad. They're doing it they're doing it in an interesting way. As opposed to like, say, a Helium where it's up to the individual to deploy and choose their deployment location. DABA is more targeted. So like in India, for example, let's say you want to invest in deployments, they will, work with the investor, team up with deployment companies, and then choose the locations that need coverage. I think we're going to see more and more projects do this. WeatherXM is kind of doing something similar. In fact, they are working together with WeatherXM. So DABA is actually deploying Wi-Fi hotspots and then deploying WeatherXM weather stations in conjunction, which is freaking awesome because the weather data is also horrible in India, from what I've read too. So they're meeting a need. And some people are opposed to this concept of, they want to have control over the deployment. I don't know. For me, it makes sense because I would love to deploy in an area where it's going to bring value to the network. I don't know anybody in India that I can deploy with. So they kind of take that part out of your hands and allow you to just invest. I think that's interesting. So I'm going to do a video on this project and meeting with their team this week, just to make sure I have all my data points correct. So I always try to do that to make sure that I'm giving accurate information. So very cool, Exhibits and DABA. Neither one has launched their token. I think DABA is like doing a pre-mining thing and then they'll have their token launch. So you're not late to either of these, and I'm excited to cover both of them. Okay, so those are my DePIN projects, that I'm holding. I do think that we are going to have a rotation. We haven't really had a massive rotation in DePIN. It's been super frustrating over the last year watching some of these freaking meme coins just go parabolic for no reason. It's evident that a lot of people just love to gamble in the casino and try to hit the lottery. But I think we're going to see at some point a flock to true utility. Speaking of meme coins, so last year I did mess around a little bit with meme coins. I won on some, I lost on a lot, and that's one thing that I think people need to realize. So crypto is obviously very risky in general, but especially the meme coins and now the AI agents, because I'm going to bridge into the AI agents now. So if you remember, you might not have been around for the last market cycle, but the NFT craze. There's new NFT projects launching left and right. There's capital rotating from one to the next to the next. Some of them, the blue chip ones, are still relevant. They still are, we're way down in the bear market, but some of them are starting to come back and have held some value. But the vast majority of them went to zero. Okay, the same is going to happen with meme coins. The vast majority of them are going to go to zero. we saw a lot of ugly stuff with rug pulls, etc. The same is going to happen with AI agents. Okay. I would say the caveat to that, though, is that there are some useful agents and platforms being built right now. But I do think that we're going to see a rotation. If you look at the market cap for meme coins versus your AI agents, meme coins are still far, far larger. But I think what we saw over the last month is just kind of the beginning. And right now, with this massive pullback, I think that there are probably some really good opportunities. And that's what I've been trying to look for. Again, this is a small percentage of my portfolio. But, as opposed to last year, I was just like, God, these meme coins suck. And I was just trying to fight it. Like, you know what, man? The vast majority is going to go into my DePIN projects. I feel very confident in those projects and where I think they're going. But I might as well take a small percentage and, have a Moonbag wallet to go after the narrative. And I think this is where it's going. So with that said, let's talk about the AI agent scene. Okay. Starting with virtual. By the way, credit to this meme radar guy. I believe he created this chart. So virtual is the major player here. I actually covered them in a video in October in my market update back then. And it's gone parabolic. Okay. Sistine Research is someone you should follow on Twitter. The guy's been calling. He's had some incredible calls over the last couple of years. I've made a lot of money because of him. Thank you, Sistine. But he was calling virtual at like $5 to $10 million market cap. It's up to $2.5 billion today. I'm going to look at the chart here in a second. So virtual is the main one. It's on base. Okay, we're seeing a lot of really Solana and base are the two chains right now, and I think that's what we're going to see in this upcoming part of the bull run. Base and Solana are where a lot of the building's taking place. So virtual's the main one on base. AI 16Z is on Solana. Okay, so those are the two big players. Then you've got a few of these smaller players. There's Waifu. I don't know if that's how you say it or not. I believe it's also on base. Creator Bid. And then you have Top Hat. So, okay, I think a lot of these AI agents, there's some that are promising. A lot of them, what we're seeing now, back in October, you could have just poured money into the top virtuals agents and made a killing. It's not the case anymore. Okay, we're seeing some of the grifters from meme coins come over to the AI agent space and just create these rug pull agents. So it's not as easy as just throwing money in. But what my plan is, okay, and I think if you're not willing to do the research to really dig into the AI agents and you do want to get exposure to this, and again, it's high risk, but I think I personally think there could be a lot of upside here. You can just buy the token for some of these. So buy the virtual token, buy the AI16Z token, buy the Waifu token, the Top Hat token, which is hat. Creator Bid doesn't have their token out yet. So let's run through some of these here. So virtuals. Whew, look at that chart. So got up to 461, about a 4.6, 461. So I think it's like over a $3 billion market cap. Massive correction over the last week. Okay. So we'll see what happens. I don't know that it's bottomed, but again, if this AI agent rotation does happen, I think we could see it bounce back. I personally have been just starting to dollar cost average in. I'm not trying to time the bottom. It's impossible to time the bottom, but I do want exposure. I already had exposure, but I want to get more exposure. The next one, AI16Z, of course, this is the one on Solana. Again, this one's had a massive pullback too. If you look so Cookie.fun, by the way, is a great platform if you want to track all these AI agents. So you can look at infrastructure plays, the agent plays. You can see virtual, look at this pullback over the last week, 34%, AI16Z down 50%. So we've had some massive pullbacks. And then the cookie token is for this platform. So if you want to get access to the other variables, be able to sort by all the different data points. You have to hold enough cookie tokens in order to access that. Obviously, it's done pretty well. People are interested in this platform. So these two, the virtual and AI16Z, the base and the Solana ones, have had quite a pullback. We go down, HAT. So that's the other one I mentioned. It's on Solana. So this is kind of like an up and coming one potentially. I've personally bought the HAT token because I want to get exposure to it. I have not taken the time to research the AI agents on the platform. I just don't have time right now. I've got my mind on working and researching other things, specifically DePIN projects. But I do want exposure, so I just bought the HAT token, and it has had a nice pullback, 26%. Now, Bitcoin does again drop into like the upper 80s or the 80s. Like this could pull back further potentially, but I'm just kind of averaging into it. I think that it has potential here. If especially when you compare the market cap. By the way, like these top ones, 2.6 billion on virtuals, 1.25 billion on AI16Z. Top Hat has 68 million. Okay, so when you compare it, it doesn't have to be a leader to have upside, in my opinion. Let's take a look at the Vaifu one again. The $63 million market cap. That's Solana. So those are kind of like the seconds, coming up and coming AI agent platforms. I mentioned Creator Bid. They haven't launched their token yet. I did want exposure to this one as well, though. So I went ahead and invested in. I've got these top three. I've got Shogun. And I got Bill and I. Bill and I, by the way, is being powered by Dynex. Interesting fact there. So just purchased some of the top agents on this platform to get exposure because they don't have their token out yet. But going back to that original chart here, that way. Now I have a number of virtual agents, by the way. All of them have had massive pullbacks. So let's just take a look at some of these. Game is supposedly going to be very critical for Web3 gaming interconnecting with AI agents. And it did get up to like a $300 million market cap. So around there, I believe. So massive pullback here. All these have had huge pullbacks. AIXBT, number one in mind share of all AI agents. They just had a Binance listing, but this was up over 500 million. So massive pullback. Vader, I think, crept up to 100 million. So big pullback here. You've got another one that people like, this Ecolite. This one's hasn't had a major pullback. Sequoia did really well. It has corrected, but this one people are very bullish on. Holding this one, you get a lot of airdrops. So a lot of people hold this one. AIXCB also massive. This had a massive pullback. What'd that get up to? All of these right now have really come back down from where they were. So let's just see. Look at that. It was up. It got up to 100 million. So all the way down to 34 million. So again, high risk. But if you are a believer that the AI agent space is going to be where money rotates into, and it's going to take off, look, these prices in a few months could look unbelievable. But, if Bitcoin continues to correct, we could see further downward action on these. We'll have to wait and see. I own NFT XBT. People are very bullish on that one. Polytrader, this one is basically a predictor of polymarket trades. It's been very accurate, by the way. This thing was up to almost, I think, around 50 million, down to 14 million. I added some of that this morning. Crow is another one people are very, very bullish on. Let's see here. Guan's another one. Trust me, bros. This one has pretty high mind share and low market cap. Just calling out the ones that I know. I'm in a lot. I've been spending a lot of time in Discord, and I know the ones that people are bullish on. So those are ones. And there's one other one I want to call out that I have taken a pretty big position in. And it's a low cap one. Go up here. It's Javlis. Let's see where that's at. There it is. Javlis, $683,000 market cap. They've got it. Apparently got a good team, and they are building some serious stuff on this with this AI agent. So, hey, that's one to keep your eyes on. Again, high risk plays, but curious to see where they go. You know, if the market does bounce back like we're hoping, and we see this rotation of AI agents, if AI agents are the meme coins of last year, I think these can do very, very well. And you know, you don't want to buy when you when you see a huge surge up, but seeing the pullbacks we've seen might not be a horrible idea if you're looking to get exposure to this space specifically. See where it goes. And I'm going to continue doing research. I don't know that the bottom's in either. Y'all, I think we could see some more pain before the market really takes off. And that's fine. You know, like, yeah, in the short term, it sucks. It washes out a lot of people, and consolidation is not a bad thing. You know, we had a huge pump after the election in Bitcoin. We didn't see much other than the AI agent landscape. We didn't see a whole lot of positive price action outside of Bitcoin through the end of last year. But, you know, if you look at the last market cycle, we saw a pretty decent pullback in mid-January. Actually, the last two market cycles, you look 4 years and 8 years ago, saw a similar situation. We saw a bottom happen second half of January, and then February is when things really started to get exciting. And then we saw the market pump, and there's going to be, you know, if this happens, there will be corrections along the way. Those are the days to add to positions. But what we saw was a major correction in May. You know, so we saw from like February through May, major correction down, and then another pump up through the fall. Some of those projects peaked in the first run up. A lot of the other ones actually peaked in the second run up. I don't know that we're going to get the second run up this time around because of all the macro events that are taking place. Also, the bull run started a little early this time around. If you remember, Bitcoin actually broke its all-time high before the halving, which is really strange. It's because the ETFs started that liquidity flow early. But there's just so much bullish news right now, especially from a regulatory standpoint. It's just hard for me to believe, you know, these people are saying the bull market's over. It's hard for me to believe that, given all the all the positive news taking place right now. So I'm looking at this pullback as a gift right now. It might be a gift that keeps on giving for another week or two. But I think, you know, February, I'm excited to see what happens. Excited to come back in a few months and come back to all these projects and see where the prices are at compared to where they are in this video. Coming up on about 45 minutes here. So if you stayed with me, appreciate you. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Obviously, these are my personal thoughts and opinions. No one knows what's going to happen, but I hope that we all make a lot of money. And crypto is one of those places that's super exciting, where there is a lot of opportunity. With that opportunity comes risk, though. So don't forget that part. But that said, appreciate your viewership. Signing off. This is Bradley Meyer with the DePIN Connection.